So here we go again with one of my favorite. Yeah, he laughs at that every time, but it is one of my favorite things to do. I am back with Rick Garrett, the Tenderloin Guy, and we've got snacks to review.
I love snacks.
I know you do, and that's why I always have you sitting here with me. I love them too. And it's not even, I think maybe I've said this before, but it's not even just that we get to eat, and we both like to eat.
Right.
But I have a lot of fun doing the review with you because you have a lot of fun.
Right.
So it makes for a much more enjoyable time on camera when you've got somebody else who really wants to be here and loves doing it. And so, we talked about this a little bit before the camera went on, but I absolutely, thought, well, we have to have something different to talk about because this is the fourth time we've sat down and done this.
It is.
And, it's like, what do we talk about now? And I started thinking about something because there was another video I was making, and it was for the Straight Out of My Mind channel. That's where I do storytelling. I don't know if you've actually seen those.
I'll check those out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And it started me thinking about what I call like mystery restaurants or missing restaurants, anything. And I thought, that would be a great thing to ask because I'm wondering if you ever have something and you just wonder, is it just me or does everybody have this kind of experience? And I thought we'd just jump in with that because I was thinking about that is that literally when I was growing up, little kid, I'm talking being 3 and 4, and I'm 58, I'm admitting that, and you get the idea of how long ago, 3 and 4 is. And so there were restaurants I remember going to with my family more than once.
Right.
And I'll say, do you remember there was this restaurant? And sometimes I'll remember a name and sometimes I won't. And they'll look at me like I'd sprouted the proverbial second head or something. And like, you must have dreamt it. And it's like, no, not at all. And so, without going into some of mine just yet, is that something, have you had that experience at all where there's a place you remember and nobody else seems to?
There is. So I grew up in Muncie, although I've been in Indianapolis for a long time, but there was a restaurant there called Carmen's Drive-In, which I remember as being Sonic before there was Sonic. The car hop that you went, hit the speaker and ordered. Nobody seems to remember that place, but I distinctly remember going there.
Right.
And then there are those places that I remember that people our age, will remember. Like you said, you've been in Indianapolis since 1965. Is that right?
Yeah.
Like Al Green's Drive-In. Do you remember Al?
No.
You don't remember Al Green's Drive?
No, I don't think we went to drive-ins though.
How about the Paramount Pizza Palace?
I do remember that.
Yes,
but I'm going to tell you, I've never been there.
Oh, is that right?
As far as I know, I've never been there.
Right.
Because it's one of those things that I think I was aware of because it was advertised and they made. That's the one with the big organ.
It is. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So I remember that place. So nobody remembers. So if you're watching, comment because I distinctly remember a knockoff of Burger King called Burger Queen, and nobody remembers Burger Queen. Do you remember Burger Queen?
No, but do you remember a place called Royal Castle?
Was that like the 10-cent hamburger place?
I don't think so. That's like you got White Castle, but there was this place I remembered. It was called Royal Castle. And this is one of those things where I want to knock myself in the head because in the 1980s I was doing cleaning around the house and in one of our cabinets there were some photos and stuff stored in a bag that said Royal Castle. It was from this place.
Oh, okay.
And we threw the bag away.
Oh my goodness.
Because here would have been proof, right?
Right.
I'm like, no, not. So this goes like double for me. Please comment if you remember any of the places we talk about or mention because it's going to come up through all of this. And we're going to do that, but you know what? I do want to eat.
Let's eat.
So I'm just going to reach
I have no idea what's coming.
And neither did I because I actually picked some of this up and threw it in the bag for us and didn't remember what I'd gotten.
And again, did these come from Trader Joe's?
Yeah, I think all of them did.
Good.
So that's what happens and it's Trader Joe's fault. I'm going to blame it on them right now because they put new and interesting stuff on this end cap. And I can't help myself from stopping at this end cap and seeing what's there. Although I think maybe I saw this on their snack thing. This is Trader Joe's dried fruit, crunch dried Honey Crisp apples. And I know we've both actually snack reviewed some other like dried apples.
We have.
I mean, it was the same brand, but we did it separately.
Right.
And I don't remember the brand now. And if I remember correctly, you liked yours, I liked mine.
I think so. I think so. So this is actually Trader Joe's brand I see on. This is their house brand.
And I don't know if it's the same thing as, or not, but.
Trader Joe's, do they only sell their house brand? I mean, or do they sell national brands too?
You know what? Not national brands. Every once in a while there was something there that was not their house brand, and I think they weeded them all out.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. No, I take that back because I swear I think I still saw in their supplement section that brand called Emergency.
Oh, of course. Right.
And they have their own of that too, I thought. But I could be wrong. Not a lot of aroma, but he and I are really big on aroma.
Yeah, not a lot. I mean, very faint. Yes.
But okay, so we've got Honeycrisp apples, and now that's an interesting question. Have you eaten an actual fresh Honeycrisp apple?
Yes, I love Honeycrisp apples.
Okay, so I know I have, but it's been a long time.
Right.
So maybe you can let us know if that flavor's really coming through.
It has the look of a potato chip, and although we haven't bit into it, in my hand, it has the feel of a potato chip.
Yeah, it's just obviously they've sliced it and kind of.
Right.
But instead of being greasy, they've obviously just dehydrated it.
Right.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Oh, wow.
I'm getting sweet.
This is really sweet. Oh, my goodness. This does taste like a Honeycrisp apple.
Okay. Maybe a little more shocking because it's been dehydrated and you don't have
it
water.
seems the flavor seems very concentrated, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's very I just hit you in the face when you first bite into it. I think it's not subtle at all. So my initial thought is this is really, really sweet. It wouldn't take a lot of these to satisfy me because it is so sweet.
Yeah, and in my case, it might be a little sweeter than I would want.
Right.
I mean, it sounds kind of weird, but if I'm really going for sweet,
right,
I will not tend to go to fruit.
Right. You go to candy, right? Yeah.
Because for that amount of intense sweetness, you might as well be having candy, I think. But I mean, not terrible. I mean, for me, we're kind of like at a one bite thing, only because I probably wouldn't eat another one. Right.
Really intense flavor. 170 calories per serving.
Serving size, it says one package.
Yeah, so that whole package is one serving, so that's pretty good, actually.
That's not bad at all, actually.
Yeah.
So, not bad at all for that.
If you were sitting watching TV, wanted something sweet, you could grab that bag instead of a bag of chips or corn
M&Ms
chips
or
M&Ms. Yeah. So, just a little too intense for me. There's no subtlety in the flavor. But if you like really sweet apples, I think you would like that.
Yeah, and would you rate with your bite system? I love his bite system. You know that.
Oh yeah, I think 2.5. 2.5 out of 5. It's all right. It's good. It's average. But it didn't knock my socks off.
Right.
Didn't hate it.
And like I said, for me, one only because that means one bite is all I'm probably ever going to do.
Right.
So that's interesting. So back to, you had the drive-in.
Right.
So for me, I swear I remember going to a restaurant when I was a little girl, and I remember we usually went there when my mother's mother visited, my maternal grandmother, and it was called the Blue Peacock. I would swear.
Here in Indianapolis?
Or Carmel or the vicinity.
In the area, right.
And what I remembered was it was like the first place where you'd go for lunch, and whatever you ordered, they'd ask you juice or soup.
Wow.
Because I remember that is actually where I first had gumbo soup.
No kidding.
I mean, I'd never heard of it. I mean, and we're talking little girl. My sister was an infant or a toddler, and I would swear that's the name of the restaurant. And I feel like, I couldn't tell you, just kind of a nondescript building, but I almost remember this icon of a bluebird of some kind on there.
Interesting.
Or maybe it wasn't I don't know why I remember it that way. But this restaurant, and I remember looking forward to getting the gumbo soup every time.
That's interesting that you can remember the first place you tried a certain dish.
And a certain experience,
right,
too.
Right.
Because if you think about that, I had never had anybody say, juice or soup. And now, if you think about being offered a choice, it's usually soup or salad.
Right.
But I remember I assume there were more than one type of soup, but the gumbo soup came because my grandmother ordered it. And it sounded, my grandmother was ordering it, and so I had to have that too. And I remember ordering that and being surprised one time when we went there that she decided to get tomato juice.
Oh. So if you remember the Blue Peacock,
or any restaurant at all that had that, like a blue bird type thing of an icon or something. I mean, please.
Blue Peacock would be a great name for a girl band. Yeah.
Okay.
I can see the logo and everything.
Okay. All right. To break that up, we have garlic and onion pistachios.
Oh, I have high hopes for this.
Yeah. Now, see, I think I mentioned on a previous video that pistachios are probably my favorite nut, and so likely that's why I grabbed this. We're gonna have to. Oh, I can smell it. I'm getting the.
Oh my goodness! Holy cow!
Yeah, you're definitely getting.
Now that the bag is open, I can even smell it over.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
I guess that's why they have it in one of these resealable bags.
Definitely. Look in the picture. Garlic. There's a garlic bulb and an onion
I can
bulb.
smell the garlic.
Oh.
I can smell the onion.
It's weird because now all of a sudden my nose is already running.
You ready to give this a try?
Okay, here we go. Cracked it, mine open. Can I get it out of here? No.
Yeah, wanted to be sure I didn't drop it on the floor.
Mm-hmm. My first whatever is salt.
Yes. Can I try another one?
Yes.
For science.
I love it.
Because here's the deal. The garlic and onion aroma is really strong, but I'm not getting the flavor.
My first thing that hit was salt. That's an interesting thing because if I
cannot tell the difference between this and your regular pistachio.
Right now on the way, way, way back end, I'm getting that sense that the garlic and onion is there, but it's not that first thing that hits you, which you and I agree always that that's the first thing that should hit you.
Yes.
If it's called garlic and onion pistachios, you should taste those first.
Absolutely, the first thing you should taste is what's in the name.
Ooh, interesting.
Well, on a 1 to 5 bite, I would give that a 1. I would not buy that again.
I wouldn't either, no.
I like pistachios. The reason I would not buy it again is because I can't taste the garlic and onion. It just tastes like a bag. And I'm sure these were more expensive than a regular bag of pistachio.
You know what? I don't remember. I didn't look. But, again, I always advise, I love to get the stuff from Trader Joe's because I will tell you, things can taste different to different people. And that's also, by the way, the other reason. I don't have Rick here because I want someone to agree with me on everything we taste.
Right.
Because I understand that people have different tastes. And definitely, if you taste these and you love them, let us know that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And, it's no harm, no foul. Always at Trader Joe's, they want you to try everything. You take it back if you don't like it. They are wonderful about that. They inevitably will thank you for trying it. So that's always awesome. And it's interesting because they have all these new snacks. That's why we can keep coming back and doing this.
Right.
But I start thinking again too about there's like snacks that used to be on the shelf that disappeared, or are harder to find. Or something.
Yes.
And I can probably think of several that the things that were favorites of mine. I've had a lot of favorites. Or and just gone. And so I'm gonna, you're the guest, so you tell me about one of yours first.
So we actually were talking about this on Twitter recently. A candy called Chico Sticks. Do you remember Chico Sticks?
Actually, no.
So they were a long stick. The inside was peanut butter flavored, but it was kind of hard and crunchy.
Okay.
And then it was covered in roasted coconut.
Okay.
And it was a brittle stick.
Okay.
And you would bite the end off of it. Really good. And I think it was actually spelled CHIX-O-STIX. I think it was actually Chix-O Sticks.
Oh, okay.
We always call them Chico Sticks. Yeah. If you remember those, let us know. I've not seen those in stores. Matter of fact, there's a store in downtown Indianapolis called Rocket Fizz. Have you been to Rocket Fizz? So they sell vintage sodas, vintage candies, and things like that. Didn't find any there, although it's been a while since I've been there.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's an interesting thing. I hadn't seen that, and I know actually, Market District, they have 2 displays, which is vintage candies.
I've got to get over there.
Yeah. But they change up at times, and there's some stuff that's different. So that's a place to check it out. But I haven't seen any of these. When I was a kid, one of the things, I couldn't tell you where we used to get them, but they were these little cheese sandwich cracker things. That's the technical term.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
And it looked like a little waffle, but it was cheese and had cheese powder. It was like a little sandwich.
Really?
And yeah, that's another one of those things.
Did you buy? Do you remember if you bought them individually? Were they
in
a cellophane pack?
No, they were like small size. About the size now. I love how I'm doing this. I call them the individual bags of potato chips now.
Right.
But not the normal size, like the one that has two
Hardy Man, the Hardy Man size.
Yeah, the one that has like the 2.5 servings or something.
Right.
And it came in about that size of a bag, and there were a bunch of them in there. And
don't remember that at all.
And like I said, they were about yay big, and they had the waffle kind of pattern, and the kind of cheese powder filling that comes in the because they have the cheese filled crackers that with the like the peanut butter filled crackers, and so it kind of had that flavor, but it looked like a little waffle, and I think it was from something called Good Time Snacks or something.
Interesting.
And so I'm picturing getting them at a place. Well, no, I shouldn't say. I guess like 7-Eleven, but not 7-Eleven. Where I picture there was a convenience store called Lindner's.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
I think I remember. Last time I got them, they were like there.
Right.
So that was something. I'm going to jump into something else that, to this day, it's kind of interesting because there are 5,000 varieties of Pop-Tarts on the shelf.
Oh
right
my
now.
gosh, yes.
Okay, and I can't eat gluten, but maybe I'd sacrifice my comfort for however long it would last me if they came back with the original retro from the 60s, I guess, grape Pop-Tarts without the frosting.
I remember those.
They actually had grape.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you couldn't get grape that weren't frosted. So at some point, I learned to tolerate the ones with the frosting, and then they quit doing those too. And there's some newfangled one now that's grape, but it doesn't taste anything like it.
Right.
I mean, because at the time it came out and I was still able to eat gluten, and I was like so disappointed with that. Okay, well, if they captured the flavor, I wouldn't care. So, anything else that you are missing from your?
Oh gosh.
Because I could keep going. I got too many things.
Okay, so this is not food, but it's food related.
Okay.
I love nostalgia. I love all things pop culture. And again, this came from a Twitter conversation I had recently. Who remembers breakfast cereal? Breakfast cereals always had prizes in them for the kids,
absolutely.
right? And they were always way down in the bottom of the box, so you had to eat all the cereal to get to the prize. But who remembers breakfast cereals that had records you could cut out on the back of the
yeah.
box, and you could actually play them on your record.
I remember Honeycomb had.
Sugar Crisps or Sugar Smacks, the one that had
Yeah.
the bear, Sugar Bear.
Yeah, that was. Oh, that they actually. Here's what's funny. That's gone through so many changes because when we were growing up, that was called Super Sugar Crisp.
Super Sugar Crisp.
And
that's
then,
right.
Then they changed it to Honey Crisp. But then I think they got called out because there really wasn't any honey in it, and so now it's called Golden Crisp.
Yes, I remember that. Oh my gosh! And Holly, my wife.
My dad has a box of it downstairs. My dad loves this.
Holly, my wife, reminded me that those records you cut out of the cereal box were so light you had to put a penny on top of them to get them to play on the record player.
Yeah, because we never did. I mean, we never tried to play one, and we didn't get too many like that.
I remember that's the first time I heard the song by the Archies.
Oh,
Sugar, Sugar. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And actually, because one I keep thinking about, when again, very little girl. My very favorite Girl Scout cookie was one that looked like a daisy, and it was a sandwich cookie. It was like a vanilla cookie that was shaped like a daisy, and it had a fudge center. Oh,
I remember those.
Okay, you're the first. See,
I
this
do
is
remember
wonderful,
those. Yeah.
Because nobody else remembers them.
Yep.
And so, because there was a whole cut in the cookie part, it looked like a daisy where you could see the fudge sticking out in the middle. And by the time I was in 4th grade and my mom went to order Girl Scout cookies, they didn't have them anymore. And I was like, that was my favorite.
I do remember those.
Oh, you are literally, you are the first. See, this is so wonderful for me because I've said there's always somebody who looks at me with two heads. And I have people who are like, well, I was in the Girl Scouts. There was no such thing. And yes, there was.
I don't remember much, but I remember food. If it's food related, I'll probably remember it.
Yes. Digging in. Oh, I must have been thinking of you.
Oh my gosh. Chili pineapple. Holy crap, look at this. Chili pineapple kettle popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Because popcorn, I know, is a favorite.
Oh my
of
gosh!
This guy,
Yes.
Yeah, right after tenderloins, I guess.
That's right.
No, what? Yeah, I mean, see if they came up with a popcorn coated tenderloin. Am I right here? Oh, this is going to be one of those tough ones, huh? Ooh, you know what? I'm starting to crack it, and I'm smelling the pineapple. Excuse me.
I love pineapple. I love the combination, the flavor combination of sweet and hot.
You can smell the pineapple.
Oh my, holy cow, that's a lot of pineapple smell.
Yeah, that's more than I was expecting.
Yeah, me too. I actually expected to smell heat or chili.
Although, you know what? This is an interesting thing I'm going to say is I can't decide whether it smells like artificial pineapple flavor.
Oh, or real pineapple.
Or real pineapple. It's interesting. You go first. You're the...
Okay. So here's what it looks like. Looks like,
popcorn.
Yeah.
With something on it.
Yeah, cheese coated popcorn almost.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Holy cow. Ooh, I like this.
You do?
Oh, look at her face.
And I like hot stuff too. It's not hitting me. I actually taste lemon more than I do pineapple.
Oh my gosh, I do too. So the sweetness hits first. That's the first thing I get. But this has got serious heat to it. Mm-hmm. Heat is all on the back end too.
Right.
Can I try one more?
Sure. But yeah, I feel like I'm tasting lemon and not pineapple.
I think you're right. It does taste more lemony than pineapple. It does.
Yeah. I mean, I would not, it's kind of weird. I would not call this pineapple at all.
I like this. So.
Oh.
I guess I'm going to show my ignorance here. I'm not laughing at your misery.
No, I know.
Pineapple's not a citrus fruit, right? I mean, lemons and oranges are
right.
But pineapple's not citrus, right?
I've never heard it called it. But the thing is that I've eaten pineapple in various and sundry forms all my life. I've even had like pineapple flavored Lifesavers.
Right.
And I've always tasted pineapple. I have never actually ever had anything that is claimed to be pineapple, in big letters, and not taste pineapple. I'm tasting lemon.
You know, this is going to be a hard one for me to rate because I like it. I like it quite a lot. But Michelle is absolutely spot on. It doesn't taste like pineapple. It does. It does taste like lemon. Mm-hmm. And if you're sensitive to heat, this is probably going to be too hot for
Yeah.
you. It's you know, I
like heat too.
I like heat.
As long as there's flavor involved.
Right,
I mean,
right.
heat with nothing is...
And that's the thing with spicy food. Sometimes people put just go for the spice, and there's no flavor. Mm-hmm. It's just hot. You got to have that balance of flavor and heat. Mm-hmm. Each one should complement the other.
Absolutely. That's just so... Like I said, it's so strange because that one had all that like potential.
It did. The smell was, you know, I mean, when you opened the bag, the smell was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be fantastic.
Right.
But it,
and you know, I think you'd be like, I know you said you like it, and I know you'd probably be like more like enthused or however to put that if they'd called it citrus popcorn or something.
Citrus chili popcorn would be the perfect description for that.
Yeah, because even so, I mean, I have never ever had a situation where it was something was supposed to be pineapple when I tasted lemon.
Right.
Unless, you know, that was something, you know, deliberate with something, because I've actually had somebody do like a pineapple upside down cake where they used lemon cake for some reason.
Oh, of course. Right.
So yes, you get that, you're going to get, but you distinctly get pineapple where you're supposed to.
Right.
So that's strange. So for me, we're back to like a one bite.
Yeah, I mean, I would give that, again, 2.5. I like it, but the fact that it says pineapple doesn't taste like pineapple. Mm-hmm. People that buy it that like pineapple are going to be disappointed in that.
Yeah. And I think, you know, just if you, you know, in general terms, I will say if you like just generic citrus, heavy on the lemon flavor with chili, fine.
You're going to love that.
Yeah. That's more for you.
Yep.
So, what other things do you miss?
Oh my gosh.
It's your turn because I talked about the Girl Scout.
Oh my gosh, let me think. Well, I love, everybody remembers this if you're, you know, in our general age range, Burger Chef.
Right.
I love Burger Chef.
Yeah, and if you're in Indiana, people talk about Burger Chef online like all the time.
Yes. So for those that may be watching out of the area, Hardee's bought out Burger Chef in, I think maybe the mid 1980s or so.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but that's probably pretty close. But Burger Chef was the first restaurant I remember seeing a works bar in where they would give you your burger, and then they had this bar with, you know, tomatoes, onions, pickles,
and then
lettuce.
they actually had a salad bar.
And then they had, that's the first salad bar I ever remember seeing was at a Burger Chef.
Okay.
And then shortly after that, there was a Midwest chain of restaurants that I really miss called Rax. Do you remember Rax?
I remember Rax, but I'm going to one-up you on that.
Okay.
This is interesting because people look at me and tell me I mean Rax when so I'm really glad you actually mentioned it. Because we're talking, again, maybe early 70s, you know, I definitely remember like 72. There was a roast beef chain competing with Arby's in this area. It was called Rick's. Not spelled like your name, but R-I-X.
I don't remember Rick's at all.
Okay, and yeah.
And you said it was, so if it was 70s, that was before Rax probably.
Right,
yeah.
well before Rax. And every time, see, this is an interesting thing, because every time I mention that there was this place called Rick's, R-I-X, everybody tells me I mean Rax.
Really?
Everybody tells me I'm wrong, I mean Rax, and no, I don't.
Yeah.
But I remember we used to do Rax.
Right.
They had a huge salad bar.
Huge salad bar. And you know, like I said,
pasta on it and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So I mentioned Burger Chef was the first place I remember seeing a salad bar, but Rax is the first place I remember seeing what I would call a meal bar.
Right.
That's spaghetti, meat sauce, some other, so you could like just buy the bar and make your own complete meal.
My mom and I used to do that. See, there was a point where I hadn't figured out that I was having issues
because of gluten, right?
Gluten and
other
protein,
things.
yeah.
So I also remember a competitor of Arby's back in that day called Beefy's roast beef. Do you remember Beefy's?
I don't remember that one.
It had the logo was a cow with a chef's hat.
Oh no!
So there was Arby's, but in this area in central Indiana, Rax was much bigger than Arby's.
Right.
There were very few Arby's around. There was a Rax on every corner.
Yeah, that is true. I guess that cropped up and became bigger. Obviously, before it was there, Arby's was the dominant.
Now, do you remember the original Arby's signs that were a cowboy hat?
Mm-hmm.
The Arby's in Muncie still has the original neon sign.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite places to take pictures when I'm up in Muncie.
What's interesting is you're talking about salad bars because a restaurant I remember too. It was called the Stable Inn, INN, and it was actually at 86th and Ditch.
Okay, just right up the road here.
Right, sort of where. I'm saying this for anybody in the area and Rick's benefit, where like Ocean World is.
Oh yes,
up
okay.
in that in that strip.
Right.
And
what was the name of it again?
The Stable Inn.
The Stable
and
Inn.
The decor was like it was old wood, hard wood. It looked like you were in a stable.
Right.
That was the thing. And they had this huge salad bar too. So that's what made me think of that. I don't know what you had up in Muncie, but when I was growing up, there was a competitor because at the time, Red Lobster was actually a fancier restaurant.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Red Lobster.
We couldn't afford to eat at Red Lobster growing up.
Red Lobster was just kind of I don't want to call swanky, but it was fancier, and it wasn't really corporate owned. It was more, okay. And so there was a family seafood place. It was called the Cape Codder.
Here in Indy?
Uh-huh.
I don't remember that.
Okay. And that's where we used to go. And that's where I learned about clam chowder and hush puppies and hush puppies. And anyway, there was a Cape Codder somewhere on Keystone. And there was one that was at 79th and Michigan Road. And again, people are watching this going, I don't know what she's talking about. But if you're in the area, and I'm kind of saying it for your benefit. And so there was a third one I can't remember. But the thing is that's where we used to go for family seafood.
So I'll throw one out too. You may remember this in Nora, 86th and Westfield area. Mm-hmm. You remember the Cavern?
No.
So this was the prom date place. This was fancy, high-end. Everybody.
That's probably why I don't know it.
My age took their prom dates there. It was also big for like wedding rehearsal dinners and so on. But it was like they had made it like a cave inside. There were stalactites hanging from the ceiling, and little hidden waterfalls, and it was way cool.
Yeah, do you remember in Nora? Actually, over by where the post office is there, back when I was a little girl, there was a restaurant. It was called the Flaming Hearth.
Oh yeah, actually, a friend of ours' parents owned that.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I've got what's interesting. If you remember my On the Couch series, I interview a musician named Greg O'Haver, who is a member of the New Christie Minstrels.
Right.
And we sat on. He had stools from the Flaming Hearth,
cool.
and he tells the story about that. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So you can go and it's a different channel, but you can look up On the Couch with Michelle Gussow, Greg O'Haver.
Right. Greg is such a talented musician.
Okay.
He's really incredible.
He was great. And one thing, he did This Land Is Your Land. I actually sing along with him, although my cameraman didn't put the camera on both of us. What were you thinking? I'm watching it back and you're hearing me, but it's like, well, they're not going to know that's me, are they? But that was a lot of fun. And up in Nora too, there had been this restaurant called the Huddle. And
was that a pancake and waffle house?
No.
No, okay.
But it was interesting. I mean, maybe you'd call it a diner. I don't know.
Okay.
But when my grandparents would come, my grandfather always took me out to lunch there. But it was funny. The Huddle. This was the big reputation of the Huddle. They kept having fires.
No kidding.
All I remember, the Huddle had a fire, and you can't eat there right now. And then they, open up again. Next thing you know, you couldn't go. There was another fire. I don't know how many fires it was.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember the huddle at all.
Yeah.
I was asking about pancakes and waffles because there's a chain in the South called the Huddle House.
Oh yeah,
which is a
right.
competitor.
And a lot of times when I say the huddle, people think I mean that.
Right.
I say no, and there was one up on Keystone 62nd area too.
Okay.
Up there, but you had that, and do you remember too? There was Loeffner's.
Oh, I remember Loeffner's. Yes.
Because that was the cafeteria before like MCL.
Right. And I think Loeffner's was a local chain, right? I mean, they had several locations, but they were just here in Central Indiana.
Right. So, I understand a lot of times when maybe on social media you or I would post about some of these, where there would be plenty of people who wouldn't know what they were.
Right.
But there again, when you get somebody who will say, well, I've lived in Indianapolis all my life and I never heard of the huddle. It's like, well, I can't
I want to throw one more out because we were talking about Nora.
Okay.
So for those that may be not watching locally, Nora is a section of Indianapolis, central north part of Indianapolis,
and
86th and Westfield Road.
Yeah.
The Snooty Fox.
Yes, but that one to me is almost more recent.
Yeah, well, they've only been, although they were in business from the 1940s, they only went out within probably the last 10 years, I would say.
Yeah, the Snooty Fox, this is for anybody not living in this area. Go look up Restaurant Impossible, the Snooty Fox. And it actually has the reputation for being one of the restaurants that closed shortly after they got the makeover.
Right.
But you can look it up. We went to school with the kids.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Not my sister, I think, went to school with the actual Tim or whatever. But,
right.
But yeah, the family. We knew the family. But what's interesting to me, that one felt like, because it had been around into my adulthood, it was one of those things that's easier to point to, and have other people know what you're talking about. Stuff that closed when I was a kid, forever. That's the type of thing where people are like, and I mean, I know some of these places existed. You just do.
Right.
You just do. And our last thing today. I hope this is better.
Yeah, we've done real well today, haven't we?
No, and they were all so promising. Weren't
they were.
Okay, so this one is, again, Trader Joe's salsa verde flavored corn tortilla chips.
Yeah, I like salsa verde. I like tortilla chips.
Yeah. We hope that they taste like salsa verde.
Hey, let me just say, thanks for tuning in. We enjoy doing this so much. We appreciate you guys watching. And if you've got suggestions on stuff you would like to see us try, drop it down in the comments, and we'll certainly do our best.
Yeah, and please just be mindful of the fact that I actually cannot eat gluten. I cannot. So your suggestions must be gluten-free, and they actually must be vegan, because I can actually get sick from too much protein, animal protein specifically. So if you see something and it looks interesting, like I said, we'll do our best, put it down there, we'll investigate it.
Right.
And if it meets the criteria, we can find it.
Right.
And preferably someplace that'll take it back if we hate it.
Let's see.
So this is
salsa verde,
yeah,
corn tortilla chips, Trader Joe's. That smells like tortilla chips.
Yeah. It's not like an overwhelming salsa verde hit you in the face.
These have a really interesting color. I don't know how well it will show up on camera.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually, it's kind of weird, but I think a lot of people might find the color off-putting.
I think so. It almost has a little bit of a green or blue cast to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would say green, and that's why I'm suggesting people might be put off. I actually taste salsa verde.
I do. Now, these are gluten-free.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. With corn. But I actually do taste salsa verde, which after everything we've had today, where we didn't taste what we were supposed to.
If you're observing a gluten-free lifestyle, I think these are a really solid choice. It's flavorful. It's got a nice kick to it. like the popcorn, the heat comes on the back end. I'm going to try one more if you don't mind.
For science?
For science. She blinded me with corn chips. Actually, this is good.
I mean, it's not, what's interesting about it is the flavor's not strong, but at least it's there.
It's very subtle. I think the heat level on this is such that even if you're very sensitive to heat, you're going to be comfortable with it.
Right.
It's going to
I
give
would
you.
say that. Yeah, I absolutely. This is probably the best one we had today.
I agree.
We lucked out. It was last. We could go off on that high note.
Go out on a high note.
Yeah.
So I would say, and I, you know what? I really like the texture of this chip.
They're crunchy.
It's a little thicker. So if you were using it to skip up salsa or something, it's going to hold together. I like this.
Yeah.
I don't think this goes on my rating scale to a 5.
No.
It's not the perfect chip, but it's above average. I'd give it a 4.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. As the highest score I'm going to give today. Yeah, I was thinking 4 because, well, like I said, it actually does meet the flavor profile.
Right.
And it demonstrates that it can be subtle flavor but still taste like what it was supposed to taste like.
Right.
And be satisfying and give it to you. So yeah, this was actually, I don't think we've ever declared winners, but this is definitely the winner for today.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So.
All right.
I'm glad to get off on
It always helps to end on a high note, doesn't
Yes,
it?
it does. I do like those, and I'm anxious to actually taste that with like refried beans or something.
Ooh.
Like make nachos.
Yeah.
Because I make vegan nachos.
Right.
And there's another, see, for me, obviously, it wouldn't be tasting it because there's this other chip that I usually use. But this would work really well, too.
Yeah. Let me know how that turns out.
Okay.
I think it'd be a great combination.
Okay.
Wow. We've had fun today.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I know that we're going to find more stuff, and
Yes.
we're going to get you here. And I actually had a lot of fun. We ought to continue with the conversation about missing items and missed restaurant, whatever.
That was great.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So that's actually, and we hope you've had as much fun as we have. And let us know if you try any of these things. We want to hear your feedback too.
And also, for purposes of our next edition, our next show, let us know what restaurants from your youth, from your childhood, you remember. See if we remember them.
Yeah.
This will be fun. A nice trip down memory lane.
I love that. So thanks again for stopping by.
Thank you. Always good to see you.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time, wherever.